Tito stumbled on the second verse. His hand went to his chest. The band played on, but Michael saw the grimace and stopped singing. 7 years old, and he made the call no adult would. Why? The stage lights were hot enough to bake the wood underneath. Michael felt the heat through his shoes as he spun into the second chorus. The Apollo Theater was packed. Every seat filled, people standing in the aisles. The Jackson 5 had 30 minutes to prove they belonged. 30 minutes. 8 were already gone. Jermaine's bass line rolled steady. Jackie kept the rhythm tight. Marlon swayed at the edge of the stage, and Tito was supposed to hit the bridge solo in 8 bars. Michael glanced over his shoulder. Tito's fingers moved across the strings, but his face had gone pale. His left hand pressed flat against his chest for just a second, then dropped back to the fretboard. The note came out clean. But Michael did, and what he saw next would force a choice no child should have to make. He turned back to the mic, his next line ready, but he watched Tito from the corner of his eye. The older boy's jaw was clenched. His breathing looked shallow. And then Tito's hand went to his chest again. This time it stayed there. One glance, one breath, one decision forming. The band didn't stop. The drummer kept the tempo. Jackie nodded at Michael to keep singing. In the wings, their father stood with his arms crossed, eyes locked on the performance. Next to him, the stage manager, Gordon, leaned forward, his headset microphone live. His voice crackled through the monitor speakers. "Don't stop. Keep going." Michael's mouth opened. The lyric was right there, but Tito's face looked wrong, not scared, not tired, wrong in a way Michael couldn't name yet. The stage lights buzzed, nothing else. Michael stopped singing. The instrumental kept rolling for 2 bars before Jackie realized. He turned, confused. Marlon froze mid-step. Jermaine's bass line stuttered, then cut. The drummer tapped his sticks twice and let the last cymbal ring fade. The Apollo went quiet. 2,000 people stared at the stage. Michael stood at the center, mic in hand, looking at his brother. Tito lowered his guitar and bent forward slightly, his hand still pressed to his ribs. His breathing was fast. They'd been on stage for 11 minutes. The crowd's patience had maybe 3 more. Gordon's voice came through the monitors again, sharper this time. "What are you doing? Get back on track." Michael didn't move. He glanced into the wings, saw his father's face, tight, unreadable, and then looked back at Tito. "You okay?" he asked. His voice was small, but the mic caught it. The question echoed through the theater, unanswered for a beat too long. Tito nodded. "I'm fine. Keep going." But he wasn't fine. Michael could see it. The way Tito's knees bent inward, the way his grip on the guitar neck had gone loose, the way his lips pressed together like he was holding something back. Michael turned to the wings and shook his head. Just once. Firm. Gordon stepped forward, halfway into the light. "Michael, finish the set." Michael looked at the crowd, rows and rows of faces, some confused, some impatient. A few people in the back had started whispering. He looked at Jackie, who was waiting for a signal. He looked at Marlon, who looked like he might cry. Wait, this is the moment. The one that changes everything. Tito's hand dropped from his chest. He straightened up, forced a smile. "I'm good, little brother. Let's go." Michael didn't smile back. He stepped away from the mic and walked across the stage until he was standing right in front of Tito. Up close, he could see the sweat on Tito's forehead, could hear the hitch in his breathing. "You need to sit down," Michael said. Quiet, direct. Tito blinked. "What?" "You need to sit down." Gordon's voice cut in again. "Michael, you do not stop a set at the Apollo. You finish. You hear me?" Michael heard him. He just didn't care. He turned to Jackie. "Help him off." Jackie hesitated, looking toward the wings. Their father hadn't moved. Gordon was already motioning to someone off stage. The crowd noise was starting to shift. A low murmur. Michael raised his voice. Just enough. "Jackie, now." One word, one brother, one choice that couldn't be undone. Jackie moved. He slung his guitar strap over his shoulder and stepped to Tito's side, gripping his arm. Tito tried to pull away, but his legs wobbled. Jackie steadied him, and together they walked toward the wing. The murmur in the crowd grew louder. Someone in the balcony shouted, "What's going on?" A woman near the front stood up, craning her neck to see. Michael walked back to the mic. He wrapped both hands around the stand and looked out at the audience. 2,000 strangers, most of them older than anyone in his family. But here's the part you can't miss. What Michael said next wasn't scripted. He took a breath. "My brother doesn't feel good," he said. "We're going to make sure he's okay, then we'll finish." The theater stayed quiet for another beat. Then a man in the third row clapped. Just once, then twice, then the woman next to him joined in. Within 10 seconds, the whole Apollo was clapping, not loud, not wild, but steady. Michael nodded. He set the mic back in the stand and walked off stage. 14 minutes down. 16 to go if they came back at all. Backstage, the hallway was narrow and dim. A single work light hung from the ceiling. Tito sat on a folding chair near the dressing room door, hunched forward, elbows on his knees. Jackie stood next to him. Marlon hovered nearby, wide-eyed. Their father was talking to Gordon in low, clipped sentences. A woman in a gray jacket appeared from the side hallway. Nurse Calloway, the venue's on-site medic. She knelt in front of Tito, pressed 2 fingers to his wrist and watched his face. "How long's your chest been tight?" she asked. Tito glanced at their father. "Just started. I'm fine." "You're not fine." She pulled a small pen light from her pocket, checked his pupils. Her mouth set into a line. She looked up at Gordon. "Call an ambulance, now." Gordon's jaw set. "We've got 3 more acts tonight. If we call an ambulance, this whole place shuts down." Nurse Calloway stood up slowly. She was shorter than Gordon by half a foot, but when she looked at him, he took a step back. "Call the ambulance," she said again. "Or I will." Gordon pulled the radio from his belt and keyed it. "Need medical transport, stage exit, immediate." Their father finally spoke. "He's okay, just needs air." Nurse Calloway didn't look at him. She crouched back down and opened a small canvas bag, pulling out a stethoscope. "Son, I need you to take a deep breath for me." Tito did. Halfway through, he winced. "Another one?" He tried, same result. She folded the stethoscope and tucked it back in the bag. "You're going to the hospital, no arguments." Tito's face fell. "We've got 4 more songs." "You've got chest pain and shortness of breath. The songs can wait." Michael stood near the wall, watching. No one had said anything to him yet. No one had told him he did the right thing. No one had told him he did the wrong thing. He just stood there, hands in his pockets. Here's what the crowd never saw: the way Tito's hand shook when he tried to stand. The way Nurse Calloway's face changed when she felt his pulse. Nurse Calloway glanced at him. "You the one who stopped the show?" Michael nodded. She nodded back. "Good call, kid." Gordon turned away. Their father crossed his arms but said nothing. Jackie put a hand on Michael's shoulder and squeezed once. The ambulance arrived 6 minutes later. 2 paramedics came through with a stretcher. Tito tried to stand, but Nurse Calloway made him sit. They rolled him out through the loading dock. Gordon looked at their father. You want to finish the set or call it?" Their father looked at Michael, stared at him for a long moment. Then he looked back at Gordon. "We finish." Jackie frowned. "Without Tito? Without Tito?" Michael felt something tighten in his chest, but he didn't say anything. They walked back toward the stage entrance. The crowd noise had settled into a low hum. 18 minutes gone, 12 left to save the night. Gordon spoke into his headset. Jackie retuned his guitar. Marlon fidgeted with his shirt collar. Their father stopped Michael at the curtain. "You ever do that again without asking me first, we're done. Understand?" Michael looked up at him. "Tito needed help. You made a scene. He wasn't fine." Their father's jaw worked. "Get on that stage and finish what you started." Michael walked past him into the light. One step, one breath, one more song to go. The Apollo crowd clapped when they saw the boys return. Michael stepped up to the mic and looked out at the faces. He could see individuals. A woman in a yellow dress. A man in a gray hat. A kid in the front row who couldn't have been older than 5. He cleared his throat. "We're going to finish the set. Thank you for waiting." The band picked up where they'd left off. Jackie carried Tito's parts on his guitar. Jermaine doubled up on the bass line. The drummer adjusted the tempo, and Michael sang. He hit every note, every harmony, every run. The crowd clapped along. Some people stood. By the final chorus, the Apollo felt like it had before. Electric, alive, full. But in the back of Michael's mind, he kept seeing Tito's face, the pale skin, the shallow breathing. When the set ended, they took their bows. The applause was real. The smiles were real. But as they walked off stage, Michael felt the weight of what he'd done settle in. He'd stopped the show. He'd made the call. And no one had thanked him for it. Backstage, Gordon was already coordinating the next act. Their father spoke briefly with the Apollo's manager, then gathered the boys near the dressing room. "We're going to the hospital," he said. "Get your things." They packed in silence. Michael folded his stage shirt, stuffed it in his bag, and followed his brothers out the back door. The night air was cool after the heat of the stage. The ambulance was long gone. At the hospital, they found Tito in a curtained-off section. He sat upright on a bed, oxygen mask on, wires running to a monitor. The machine beeped steady. A doctor stood nearby with a clipboard. Their father stepped forward. "How is he?" The doctor clicked his pen. "Costochondritis, inflammation of the cartilage between his ribs and sternum. Painful, but not dangerous. He'll need rest and anti-inflammatories. No performances for at least a week." "A week?" their father said. "At least." The doctor glanced at his notes. Could have been worse if he'd kept playing. Their father's expression didn't change, but Michael could see the calculation happening behind his eyes. Bookings, cancellations, lost income. The doctor glanced at Tito, then at the rest of the boys. If he'd kept playing through that pain, we'd be having a different conversation right now. He looked directly at Michael. "You the one who called it?" Michael nodded. The doctor nodded back. "Smart kid, probably saved him a trip to surgery." Wait, the doctor's next words would echo for years. Most people don't stop, they push through, and that's how small problems become big ones. He tapped his pen against the clipboard. "You did what most adults wouldn't." No one said anything. The monitor beeped again, steady, reliable, alive. They drove home in silence. Tito dozed in the back seat, his head against the window. Jackie stared out at the passing streetlights. Marlon fell asleep halfway through the ride. Michael sat in the middle, hands folded in his lap, thinking about the moment he'd stopped singing. The silence that followed. the decision he'd made without permission. No one told him he was right. But no one told him he was wrong either. And somewhere in that quiet space, Michael learned something he'd carry for the rest of his life. When you see someone hurt, you stop. You don't wait for permission. You stop, and you help, and you deal with the consequences after. Because the show can wait, but people can't. Years later, when interviewers would ask Michael about leadership, about instinct, about making hard calls under pressure, he'd think back to that night. 7 years old, standing center stage at the Apollo, looking at his brother's face and knowing something was wrong. He never regretted stopping. Not once. And Tito never forgot it.